Hello, good morning, everybody. Here, me again with the weekly podcast. And I hope you all had a restful weekend. And thank goodness we don't have a Monday today. Instead of, I hope people don't say, "Oh, it's Tuesday," because they have to do all the workload that they're supposed to do on Mondays. I don't know how it would feel. It doesn't make any difference to me. So anyway, this week I will be talking about one of the main concepts in Buddhist teachings. Um, it's called the third noble truth. Actually, the second one, the cause, reason for suffering. It's called desire, attachments, clinging, and then in the third noble truth that he talks about to eliminate suffering, and we have to deal with the desires that we have. And so this is how Buddha talks about when his first teachings. He said that um, there are three things that we deal with when it's come to desire. We deal with kamatana. We attach to materialistic world, and there is no question. If you are a Westerner, if you listen to this podcast, and you know that in the Western world we have so much things. We have a lot of things, more than we need, but it still feel like we don't have enough. This is kind of attitude that we all are going crazy, and we just you can see everyday life, and um, that we have so much things. I always often remind kids here, actually, when I get a chance to talk to them, I say that you don't have a right to complain because the consider to stuff we have here. So we are attached to our materialism, and we are so caught up with it, and we just can't let it go. And simplifying life actually make things a lot easier, calmer, and it makes you a lot happier. And but the way the things that we have presented to us, handed down to us, is not um, how that it works. The people, the big businesses, and all these people trying to everything push things on us, and big cars, big houses, and big loans, and education, and all these things just become a really they makes us, these things are really important to us. And so if you watch television and listen to radio, and they would present things as like that we really need these things in life, and we get so easily we get caught up with these things, and finally it just leads us to a lot difficulties, a lot suffering, a lot stress. And so karma tanha, the attachments that we have, is a lot of um, excessive kind of attachments that leads us to really stressful situation. And the second one is bhava tanha. The I can explain it's two ways. Bhava is actually in a spiritual and religious context, like that we get attached to supernatural powers. We get attached to the idea of heaven, or we get attached to idea of enlightenment. So this is, and also wanting to become in next life, whatever. And so we get caught up with these things, and we get so attached to that. And in fact, this is a really in Buddhist cultures this happens a lot, because people for a long time the teachings are presented in a way that the people crave for next life in their next life, because what they have, they think, consider as suffering. So also they crave for enlightenment because they have so much aversion or misunderstanding about the life they live in, and they think it's a place that you can be happier and that you can be relaxed forever when you become enlightened. And itself, it becomes a burden and burdensome, and it's a very strong attachment to get caught up with. And also, another aspect of this bhava tanha is also the idea of ego that we create. We want to become something, somebody, and that can lead us to very stressful situations in life. And stress, of course, creates suffering. And think about somebody who struggles with power, somebody who wants to become something, and then that become the whole whole goal in their life, and they just work so hard towards it. There is nothing working towards hard it, but the problem comes in is that when we just go over the line, when we don't realize what is the yardstick, what's the enough, and what is the boundaries, when we don't realize that can actually create a lot of problems to oneself and towards others. And this is a perfect example with politicians, I think, because when somebody get elected, like let's say for to be the president of the United States for 4 terms, 4 years, and then they go to the office and they then serve the 4 years, and then they want it again, and they want to prove that they did something, and they feel like that they can save the world, and they want to come back again, and then they go for it. And it will be very few, I don't know, even I haven't heard like somebody who walks to a office like that, and then after 4 years of the term walk away. I did it, and I did my job, and I'm happy with what I did, and I'm gonna walk away. That kind of attitudes actually needs a lot practice. That needs a lot courage. It's not something that we can do. It's not an ordinary act to do. It's extraordinary, and it will be something very exemplary life. So rather than we want to prove and we want to become something that image that we have, that image that we create, and this can create a lot stress, suffering to you, and also towards the other people. And the decision that we make going to affect a lot. And if when we think that I am right and I know everything and I have the power, I have the authority, that can hurt a lot. The biggest example is actually the issue with Syria that we deal with. And see, even you feel like you are being betrayed, and they use your vote, your the consent that you gave, they use it as a weapon to hurt other people. I know nothing about politics. I know I'm sure they have on their reasoning, but for now, at this point, we don't feel like what they do is right. So Bhavatanha, when we want to become that image, and when we want to become whatever we want to become with that egotistical attitude, that can create a lot of pain, suffering to yourself and towards others. And then Vibhavatanha in the in early India, that was another thing that people did not want to come back again, reborn again. So of course in in Buddhist teachings as one of the concepts that talk about that you've been reborn. It's something I don't believe in, because that's not something I can prove. But if you believe in it, that's fine, and I have no any problem with it. But so if you believe that you are coming back, that there was a majority of people that they believe that they did not want to come back, do not want to come back. So not wanting to becomes a really a big burden, and that can create a lot of suffering. And because of that reason, actually, in Indian history at that time, at that era, people gave so much suffering towards their physical body, and they would make a fire, and they around a fire, and they sit in the middle, and they burn themselves in the fire. Not they are jumping into the fire, but they just heat, and they thought that it will heal the soul, take the soul away. And so these kind of just extreme kind of thinking leads us to suffering, and we don't have to make life so difficult. So that's the whole point of life. So these are the three aspects that Buddha talks about when it's come to tanha, desire. And as I mentioned before, it's a very important concept to understand. And as we grow up in Western culture, and we get really freaked out about when we talk about letting go of desire, ego. It's not about that letting go of it, that we become like a stone or something, or a tree that doesn't move, or uh, a building. It's not like that. So while Buddha talk about this tanha, these strong kind of attachments that we have to let go, there are certain teachings that he talk about the word chanda. Chanda means likes, goals, dislikes, likes, not dislikes. So again, it's desire. So the we so he said that we need to develop skillful desires. And uh, let's say if you want to become enlightened, and if you want to go to college, and if you want to become an athlete, so these are skillful desires. And you have to get up early morning, you have to exercise, and you have to do this, you have to do that. Otherwise you cannot reach to what you want to achieve. So it does not deny that that kind of desires, it's kind of common sense actually. Just freaking out about this whole idea of letting go of desire is just, there is no, it doesn't make sense. And so the desire that he talks about is actually the things that we can control, that we have control over. And so when we get caught up with these really strong clinging, we that creates enormous suffering. And so to less suffer, we have to learn to less attach. So when our attachments are less and our suffering is less, that's just it's very practical. And so you can try it. And it's not something that blindly that we have to believe, and that's not how it works. And we are trying to practically apply it to our lives, and study from it. So that's how we trying to figure it out. So the idea of tanha, thirst or attachments, clinging, it's not the kind of desires that we want to function as a person in day-to-day life. It's actually the desires that creates more suffering, that creates abnormal behaviors, that creates us a lot of stress. That kind of desire what Buddha addressing here. So I hope this will give you some points to think about it. And if you have any questions, of course, you can Facebook me or post any comments, whatever you have. And I want you to give some thoughts to this, and rather than just arguing about it with a practical approach, just think about it. And there are certain things that in our control, and we can do that part, and with the other support, and I think we can actually really reduce a lot of suffering, and even a severe kind of pain that in scientists say that we have the control of 40% of the pain. And so these are very scientifically proved, and also very very practical. And just take time to think of it, and just give it some thought and have wisdom about it. And if you have any questions, comments, please. I am always agreeing to disagree, so you can always make your points across. So thank you for listening, and you will all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week. Thank you.